Richard Skinner one-on-one now, local12.com. He's got his Bengals previews out on the website. He's got a couple more coming up this week, secondary.
And then I'm going to project the 53-man roster on Tuesday. It's an early projection, but we'll see. We'll see how honestly, there's not a lot of spots open, so it shouldn't be all that hard, to be honest, to come close.
His busy time of year is getting ready to get underway as Bengals training camp will start this week. Tell us what we should care about.
I think there's a couple things. I think the wide receiver battle is going to be really interesting. I mean, you've got three locks, for lack of a better term. I mean, obviously A.J. Green, Tyler Boyd, and Brandon LaFell. And then it's a matter of who are the next three guys out of the remaining 10 that fill that group. I mean, you know, you've got a lot of choices. You got Mary Alford Speed. You got, do they keep Brandon Tate because he's just reliable in the kick? I know fans don't want to hear that, but because he's so reliable in the kicking game. Jake Kumro is a good-looking athlete and a good-looking receiver who was on the practice squad last year. There's just a lot of different body types, a lot of different skill sets. And then also Cody Core, the rookie. I mean, can he help you on special teams? They've got a lot of choices. It won't be easy choices for them to make, and I think that'll be one of the most interesting ones. And I absolutely think, can we see something from Will Clark and Margus Hunt? They have got to do something. I mean, you can't just say, hey, Michael Johnson and Carlos Dunlap are our two ends. They really, I think, want to go back to that rotation where it's not, you know, a 50-50 snap between the first guys and the second guys, but I think they want to get those second guys a few more snaps to keep the frontline guys healthy. So I think to see what those guys can do is going to be big in camp, and especially preseason games.
That was going to be my next question. Who are the guys on the team that kind of hear that clock ticking in their head, that it's time for them to kind of put up or shut up, for lack of a better term? I was going to go with those two defensive ends. Anyone else?
No, those are the two main guys for me. I mean, without question, because I mean, look, Margus Hunt's now in his fourth year, and Paul Gunther back at the Combine, got a chance to sit down with him, a few of us back in February, and he said, you know, that first year we give you a little bit of a red shirt. If you're not ready to play as a rookie, okay. Second year, you need a little bit more. By the third year, you got to start doing something. Well, this is year number 4 for Margus Hunt, and some of it's been injury related. Some of it's been guys in front of him who are just better, Jed, but he's got to do something this year, and so does Will Clark. I mean, he was a third-round pick. He's now entering his third year. One of those two, if not both, have got to show something.
And we've got a long way to go before we start talking playoffs, Super Bowl. I know that this fan base is just, you know, chomping at the bit for a playoff victory. Coming into training camp, do you think that the Bengals are sitting the prettiest in the AFC North?
It's pretty. Pittsburgh's really good, and obviously losing Le'Veon Bell for a period of time is going to affect them. But they overcame that and still ended up being a playoff team last year. I think they're sitting as pretty as any team in the AFC. I mean, you look, they lost Marvin Jones, okay, but Brandon LaFell was signed to replace him. They knew they were losing Andre Smith. That's why last year they drafted Cedric Ogbuehi and Jake Fisher to replace him. They lost Reggie Nelson, but they knew Sean Williams. He stepped in, started some games for George Iloka last year. They re-signed Iloka, let Reggie Nelson walk. If you look, how many other teams in the NFL can retain 18 or 19 starters off a team that's made 5 straight playoffs and have replacements ready to step into the mix? So I think they're sitting very good on paper. And it's interesting, though, the national narrative across the board from a lot of places are, oh, they're going to take a step back and not be a playoff team. Could they say take a step back? Yeah, 12-4 is hard to do in this league. But not make the playoffs, I have a hard time anybody giving me facts to back up why that team doesn't make the playoffs.
Yeah, Sports Illustrated, I think, had the Bengals at 4 wins last year.
Yeah.
Or maybe 6, something like that.
Yeah.
So forget about the national guys. I want to go back to wide receivers as it relates to Ken Zampese, because Hugh Jackson obviously was a run-oriented offensive coordinator. So you mentioned who's going to step up at wide receiver, but is it even more important who steps up because the wide receivers are going to be more of a focus?
I don't think they are. I mean, I think Hugh used 3 wides a lot. He went to shotgun a lot last year. In fact, I think it's why Jeremy Hill struggled, to be honest with you. I don't think he ran as comfortable out of the shotgun as he did out of the I formation. He did like to run the football a lot, but if you look, they also, when Andy Dalton was hot, he said, let's spread this thing out. And that, you know, Tyler Eifert was part of that too, and threw the football around. And he was one that said, hey, whatever we have to do to move the football and score is what we're going to do on offense. I actually think you'll see them maybe even turn to the running game a little bit more, get Andy Dalton back under center a little bit more, get Jeremy Hill running downhill out of the I formation a little bit more, because it is his strength. It does take some pressure off of Andy Dalton. And I think take some pressure off of maybe to some degree a wide receiver core that's just a little bit lesser than it was a year ago.
And we have only just begun. Hard to believe that football season is upon us. Richard Skinner, local12.com. Thanks for doing double duty tonight.
Thanks, Ed.
We'll be right back.